because life is lifing. So tonight we're going to be talking about how do we get where we are? You know, a lot of times we don't know, how did I get here? What happened? And a lot of this stuff comes from a book that I read. I did not know what this ACE thing was. My camera's not going around. Hold on, y'all. I got to get this adjusted. So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about. Ah, somebody's here. Yay. So my specialty is addiction recovery, codependency, and grief. You know, so it all kind of falls in line. John London, good evening. It's good to see you. How are you doing this evening? Has it been a good Monday for you? So are you familiar with this ACE test I'm going to be talking about tonight? Have you heard of it before? Well, I hope you'll hang in here. It's actually 1 a.m. in England. Oh my goodness, you aren't even asleep. Oh my goodness. Well, we'll get started here just really pretty soon. Never heard of the ACE test. Well, it's an American thing. They do it in America. And I'll go over it right quick so you kind of know what it talks. It's called the Adverse Childhood Experience Test. So let me I'll let you go ahead in case you fall asleep or go to sleep, but I'm going to be talking about this. So on this test, they ask people, you know, adults. This is a questionnaire for adults, this ACE test, the Adverse Childhood Experience. And so a lot of times we just think we grow out of these things, but we don't just grow out of them. And that's what the talk's going to be about tonight. But it says, question number 1 is, did you feel that you didn't have enough to eat, had to wear dirty clothes, or had no one to protect you or care for you? That's 1. Now, did you lose a parent through divorce, abandonment, death, or another reason? That's 2. 3 is, did you live with anyone who was depressed, mentally ill, or attempted suicide? 4, I don't know if I'm able to say that on here. I got to watch so anyway, did you live with anyone who had a problem with drinking or using drugs, including prescription drugs? Did your parents or adults in your home ever hit, punch, beat, or threaten to harm each other? Did you live with anyone? Did you live with anyone who went to jail or prison? Hey, Robbie. I'm just going over the ACE test right quick because John is joining us. It's 1 a.m. where he is. What time is it where you are? Good evening, Mom. So, did you live with anyone who had a problem with drinking or using drugs, or including prescription drugs? 5 is, did your parents or adults in your home ever hit, punch, beat, or threaten to harm each other? 6 is, did you live with anyone who went to jail or prison? Oh, they have that kind of test in England? Yes, okay. So 7 is, did a parent or adult in your home ever swear at you, insult you, or put you down? 8 is, did a parent or adult in your home ever hit, beat, kick, or physically hurt you in any way? 9 is, did you feel that no one in your family loved you or thought you were special? 10, did you experience unwanted the S word, contact, abuse, and those kind of things, the S abuse. Some of this we can't say on here, I don't think, on YouTube. I'm not sure. But anyway, those are the kind of questions asked on this test. And I've worked with people who have answered yes to, if you've answered yes to at least 4, we'll be talking about that down here later. So that's what we'll be doing. So tonight we're going to be talking about this. Welcome everyone that's here. Robbie, John London, Mom. Tonight we're going to be talking about this ACE test or survey and its relationship to addiction recovery. Most of us didn't grow up with an awareness of the ACEs test or understand how childhood experiences, shaped how we are today. YouTube allows these words, I think, different to other. I know it's hard to tell. So thank you, John. 10 a.m. Well, Robbie, you're doing good. John, it's 1 a.m. where he is. So I don't know. Are you tired, John? So welcome everyone who's here. Most of us didn't grow up with that awareness, right, of that test. And I'll go over it again for those who come on later. that test. So we've talked about before, the simplest reasons for this. Our parents often learn to be seen and not heard, and so emotional suppression may have been modeled for some people as normal. Good morning, user. How are you this morning? Evening. It's evening for me. It's 7:04 p.m. Oh, okay. All right, John London. Thank you. So it's 7:04 p.m. I'm sitting near Cancun in Mexico. Area 7 lives. It's good to see you. 1 a.m. You're at work. Oh my goodness. Hello. It's good to see you. So we're talking about the ACE test, which is something that we have in America, and it's a ACE survey for a questionnaire for adults to see how childhood trauma impacts us in our adulthood. So we're going to grow over that. Okay, here we go. So I've got my notes here so I can read your comments too, but it's kind of long, so I'm going to read, and then if y'all relate with anything, please comment or let me know your experience, because I do have notes so I can stay on track and not get totally lost. Okay, for those who watch later. So many of us grew up with emotionally unavailable parents. We talked before about one of the simplest reasons for this is our parents often learned to be seen and not heard. So emotional suppression was modeled as normal, right? So many of our parents truly did the best they could with what they knew, just like many of us have, unless they themselves were carrying unresolved issues reflected in the ACES test. So the ACE test or survey, it measures adverse childhood experiences such as abuse, neglect, addiction in the home, mental illness, domestic violence, incarceration, and other household dysfunctions. These experiences don't just happen and disappear. See, that's the thing, is we think when we get grown that, oh, this just disappeared. You already relate, Robbie. So they shape how a child sees themselves, others, and the world. And so as children, we didn't understand these behaviors. But children are creative, observant, and they are meaning making, meaning they're going to make up, try to figure out things. So when something painful or confusing happened, we create stories to make sense of it. Maybe we learn through a mentally ill or simply uninformed parent to fear other people based on our parents' own fears. We learned language, beliefs, and patterns from our environment. Sometimes our parents use negative or abusive dialogue, and we internalize that as the truth in ourselves. So other times we silently suffered while these messages became ingrained in our fears and identity. When these fears were repeated enough, they shaped our nervous systems. It definitely follows or affects the rest of our lives if we have adverse experiences as children. Yes, yes. And we have to learn new behaviors. But, the thing I was talking is that we can change these behaviors. We can change survival skills. And we're going to be digging deeper into that as the week progresses. Changing these survival skills that we developed as children, who grew up in these environments, into tangible tools. Because we worked so hard not to do something that work that we did not to do, it wasn't in vain. Maybe we didn't want to do this like our parents did, or maybe we didn't want to do this. And so we give a lot of energy to not wanting to attract that kind of partner, to do this. And so that energy not to was a lot of energy. And we may feel like that energy was wasted, that things just always turned out that way. But when we turn our mind around, we can turn the other things down. Turn our mental state creates a lot of our reality. And when we can change our mental state, we can change our reality. So I may assign somebody to a moderator if this gets too crazy in here. Okay, other times we silently suffered while they were repeated enough to shape our nervous systems. Everything's different in your world, Ty Hughes. Okay. Well, I'm grateful. I'm glad that all of you are here tonight. And I hope that something I say is going to be helpful to you, because a lot of times we just internalize these things and we spend our whole lives trying to figure things out. Hello, Donovan Aguirre. Is it Aguirre? So, we learn to strategize, shrink, run, hide, people please, perform, and become hyper vigilant. These adaptations helped us to survive. Y'all be nice now. Kim, I see hearts, and then when I see hearts, I know Kim's in the house. Hey, Kim, it's good to see you. All right, I may put you as moderator if you want to be the moderator. Hold on, I'll go ahead and let you do that. So if anybody says anything, now if if it's just a little throwed off, we can handle it. But if it's repeatedly throwed off, then we got to, because sometimes people do turn it around. I'm adding you as a moderator. All right, there you go, Kim. Thank you so much. You're going to be my moderator, okay? Grinch is back here. He could come out if he wants, but he doesn't. I know you got you. I know you got me, darling. Grinch will come out eventually. Okay, back to these notes, y'all, because this video plays again. So, over time, those survival strategies can become our identity or our motivation in life to avoid pain, rejection, abandonment, chaos, and conflict. Oh, well, and no matter how hard we tried, the patterns often continued. As children, when we were hurt or cried because of experiences like those listed in the ACE, many of us were taught that pain, that pain wasn't tended to. That's what it is trying to say. The pain wasn't tended to. Thank you. So what happened was we were told things like, dry it up. I'll give you something to cry about, when we started crying, and that negated our feelings as children. So we were taught not to have feelings. Now, our parents were told that, and their parents were told that, and because that just don't make sense, does it? I think it's the reason I like older women, for better or worse. Thanks, John. Yeah. So we learn to suppress our feelings. Crying is a natural thing, y'all know. We talked about that a few weeks ago. It is natural for everybody. Daniel Barris. What's up, everybody? Happy Monday, Daniel Barris. We're talking about the ACE test. Tell us where you're joining from. I love this platform. There are people from so many places here. We got Kim in Tennessee. My mom's over in Texas. We have John London in England, and we have Robbie down under in Australia. We got all kinds of great people up in here. So when we were told these things, this internal dialogue. So our internal dialogue, we learn to suppress, and as adults, and many of us intellectualize, we think hurt feelings will just go away, because we had to stop. Couldn't feel our feelings. So we assume unprocessed pain dries up like those tears, but it doesn't. So it just doesn't work that way. Those tears may dry, but the emotions, the fear, the shame, the beliefs stay stored in the body and in our nervous system. So in our stories that we tell, and just as they likely did in our parents before us. So when people talk about healing, some perceive it as weakness. Oh, wow. But often, others dismiss it as being woke sometimes. Sometimes people will say, oh, they're trying to be woke when we're talking about healing. It's dismissive, but often people fear what they don't understand. That's the problem. So many bullies operate from a false esteem. We can't give bullies our power. We do not give bullies our power because they work from a false esteem. I had a false esteem. When I was trying not to get hurt, I built this wall around me. There was these girls when they used to threaten to beat me up at the roller skating rink. they would like tell me, you almost got your ass kicked, because if their boyfriend was talking to me or something, and I would in my false esteem self, I would be like, I would look at them and I'd go like that. And then when I took karate, I thought to myself, I'm glad those girls didn't beat me up. I'm glad they didn't kick my ass. I did not know how to fight those girls, but I would act like, I was tough. Thank you, Cash down. Is it day one? Cash day one? Cash to one? Well, thank you. So anyway, our false esteem, a lot of us don't recognize that false esteem, because a lot of us build a false esteem because it's to keep ourselves from getting hurt. Thank you. So, but often people fear what they don't understand. Right back to the notes. Many bullies operate from false esteem, appearing superior while disconnected from their own wounds. So true. We got to feel it to heal it. Bullies are the worst. I've been bullied all my life. And I know, right? So we got to, sometimes we turn and bully ourselves, though. All this negative dialogue, we can turn and bully ourselves after a while with that inner negative dialogue. Because pain doesn't just disappear. It doesn't. Where's it supposed to go? We have to process it. I know we get bullied. I got started getting bullied in middle school, really, and I was a bully in elementary school. Because Mom, I know you're here, but my parents used to fight, so I thought that it was normal to be fighting with the boys in school. So I probably gotten about 3 fights in elementary school. I was doing all kinds of things in the school I wasn't supposed to be doing. But then I wasn't a bully anymore after elementary school. And I didn't really notice I was a bully then, but we act out. All right. Well, welcome, Lee. We're talking about tonight the ACE test and addiction recovery. So I hope that you'll be able to see something out of that. And it's not, we don't talk about politics here. We don't talk about religion. And we sure don't talk about my age up in here. And I'm not on any dating sites, this one included. I've learned now to show myself the respect I deserve and let. Yes, yes. We have to teach ourselves because this ain't going to happen out there. It's all has to happen in here, and that's why I get on here, a couple of nights a week, a couple of days a week, because there's so much stuff that can promote that feeling of less than, or that feeling of doom, or these different feelings that aren't going to serve us. And so what I talk about here is about us getting in line with what's going to serve us, but healing those old wounds so we don't keep replaying those old tapes, hit and repeat and repeat, right? So pain just doesn't disappear, just as physical wounds can become infected without care. So does our inner pain. Robbie, I know now it was wrong, but we used to bully the bullies. Not now, though. I know we get to be grown, and I quit bullying in middle school. I became quiet. I became unseen in middle school. Kind of weird. I was like the Ali Sheedy character in The Breakfast Club, except I didn't have any bugs in my hair. So, sometimes the bullies are outside of us. Sometimes they live inside our minds. Pain doesn't just disappear, just as physical wounds can become infected without care. Our internal wounds can morph into anxiety, addiction, perfectionism, rage, codependency, compulsive behaviors, or chronic self-abandonment. Thank you for looking for my past content like a building partner. I appreciate that, John London. Yeah, because I'm down on watch hours. I'm so proud and grateful for all the subscribers that I have, but my watch hours are down. No bugs. Yeah. I love that film too. It's a classic, isn't it? So, those behaviors that I just talked about, those childhood wounds are real. They're real, and they're often referred to as inner child wounds, our inner child. And a lot of people are like, and that's arrogant to not to be able to nurture and comfort that inner child. That's where our growth is, right? Robbie, John, Kim, my glove. It's good to see you. Husafel, I hope you have a nice evening too. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. So for me, this played a huge role in my addiction, those things that we talked about earlier, those inner pains that we don't know how to cope with. So it played a huge role in my addiction. I was deeply insecure, and my central nervous system was dysregulated. We never knew when all hell was going to break loose. We did not. And so we could be yanked up in a minute. And so your central nervous system, your mom had a lot of inner children. She let all 7 of them out. Well, we can. I'm going to be talking about that too, this chameleon type thing, because we turn into people pleasers and lose ourselves in that. So had no idea that things that happened to us as children. I know, right, Kim? I know. We don't think about that. And we just are operating, the central nervous system's just running, and we're looking for what? Evidence and proving things. So we do this without realizing we're doing that. IRAP. Okay, I wrap. Well, thank you. You have a good evening. I'll see you another time. It's okay, Kim. Those people don't bother me, but thank you for drinking Coca-Cola chilled, no ice. I don't like to drink that much ice either anymore. I can't chew on it. It's not good for your teeth. For me, this played a huge role in my addiction because I was deeply insecure and my central nervous system was dysregulated. We didn't even know about central nervous systems when we were kids, and my mom didn't know about central nervous systems either. But so my mind and body were carrying things that I did not understand. Most of us, our minds and bodies carried things we did not understand. Part of my using was about finding coolness, peace, belonging, and acceptance. That's part of my codependency, right? Is that's like I was trying to figure out, where did I fit into this world? Where did I fit in? Because a lot of my friends didn't come from families like I did. Their parents didn't have bras and things. so so I was trying to figure out, how do I operate in this environment? How do I operate in this environment? So the opposite of that was the reality that I was living. I didn't know how to communicate well. I hinted to get what I wanted. Oh, okay. Thank you, Kim. So it looks like, hi, Jim. We're talking about the topic on here, so we're not doing insults or anything. I hope that you're able to get something out of this. So I was comfortable with peace because peace never felt safe or lasting for me. So I constantly lived on the edge of what I could get away with as a form of escape. You definitely relate to that, John. So I feared rejection and confrontation because I was hiding pain. You know, like many people, I learned early that I would be accepted if I've abandoned my feelings, hid my thoughts, and did what was expected of me. Right? Anybody, y'all relate with that? Robbie, I relate to that too, about not fitting in with other families. I know, right? Because they were different. So honestly, I did pretty well considering what I was working with there, sometimes, because I didn't even know about this ACE test while I was growing up. So I learned early that life could be violent, unpredictable, and emotionally unsafe. Because my dad would get into brawls with people out in the streets and things too. Sometimes we had to go get him out of jail. So I became highly anticipatory. I strategized constantly about what would happen next. I developed expectations, lots of expectations, as a way to feel in control. John, healthy families are definitely something I aspire to. I know, right? Nobody knew how to do it. I've talked, last week on codependency, and that wasn't even talked about till the 70s or 80s when Betty Ford came out, that she was an alcoholic and addict. And, before that, women, like if we look in the old AA literature, women were in the kitchen making coffee while the men were discussing their, AA stuff. But women silently suffered, I think, for a long time. And I still, at meetings today, like there's not many women in them sometimes. Maglov, I thought alcohol consumption would help, would show I'm one of the guys. Yeah, I know, right? I know. Robbie, my dad would have got along great with your dad. I know, right? They'd be out there brawling all the time. Bobby Brooks, it's okay. If addiction isn't just alcohol and drugs, addiction can also be food. So I'm going to get to that too. So it's not just addiction is full scope. Addiction can be addiction to food, chaos. Some people with dysregulated nervous systems and they don't know what's happening are addicted to chaos and it's kind of self-sabotaging. There's all kinds of addictions. There's the Grinch. Kim, Jim's not here to learn anything, I don't think. Jim? Yeah, thank you. So it's all kinds of addictions. There are so many different kinds of addictions. There's love addiction. There's all kinds of addictions. Hi, Juan Alberto. So when I got into recovery, I believed I would automatically become normal, y'all. And somehow I would know how to do normal things, things that I had never seen modeled before in my life. And that was a painful realization that I wasn't just going to all of a sudden be like everybody else, that I wasn't. And now I don't even care to be like everybody else because I have a realistic view of things. But it took a while, in thinking of the way that I perceive the world and the way that the world is and the way that I am, is I didn't have a distinction. Like I think Robbie said earlier, sometimes that we think that the world's a certain way. If you deal with food addiction, you think maybe you romanticize it. If I were thinner, everyone would love me. And if you're once you get thinner and you get love, then we can get into love addiction because they don't all love you. They don't. They will be mean to you if you're thinner too. They don't. But people who want to be mean to people, or people who are trying to heal, trying or not trying to heal their own wounds, they're going to be attracted. Our wounds attract to each other sometimes. I get a dopamine high from love bombing. Okay, Nate. Thank you. Thank you for being honest about that. Hey, Greg, it's good to see you, John London. Greg, how's your stuff going? You're on a diet and being healthy. Is it still going well? I drowned my sorrows for 30 days straight in Tokyo. Sobriety is much better. It sure is, John London. It sure is. I like waking up knowing what I did last night and what I'm going to do today and not having a headache to go with. You're so glad I don't know about that. Yes. So do you think that you try to escape? It's really about escapism, Bobby, and maybe you try to escape and maybe you don't, but these are all different ways to escape. A lot of times with people with food addiction, they just want comfort. That's why they call it comfort food. A lot of times people with drug addiction just want peace. A lot of times people with alcohol addiction just want to connect with their spirit, their truth. A lot of people with shopping addiction just want to feel like everyone else, to feel like enough. A lot of people with addicted to social media, they just want connection, or gaming. It's just that connection. It's a lot of times people are addicted to things. You only had one hangover. That's good, Bobby. So it's just like whatever, you're feeding. See, what are we feeding? So I talk about people with the mind, body, and soul, healing yourself, your cells, and your soul. Because a lot of times people have, like, I see people in transference of addiction all the time. I see people with drug addiction or food or alcohol addiction transfer to food addiction because that's normal. That's normal, right? Food. So it's just like there's something inside of us, though, this hole in our soul that we've buried with whatever we've put on top of it. Shopping addiction, y'all. Shopping addiction. So shopping addiction is a big one, too. Okay, Governor Nate, you got any advice for a brother trying to find a wife? We're not talking about that today, Nate, but we are talking about the ACE test and addiction. Cold intentions, bro, I'm tripping. Some of these, okay, stay away from the bars. John London, problem with alcohol, it does the opposite to connecting to spirit. It absolutely does, John London. But at first it felt good. So that's why I'm always saying sometimes things are good until, not to be judgmental, because things are good until they're not and they're bad until they're not. So, Greg, you still drink your homebrew beer, but I have half water, half beer. Doctors. All right. If the doctor's happy and you're happy, that's all good, because not everybody who drinks has the problems, has these problems. So we're talking about the ACE test tonight and how that feeds into, addiction recovery. And addiction is not just drug addiction, alcohol addiction. It's like all kinds of addictions, because I see that transference. I've experienced that transference of addiction. When I was 14, right before I started using drugs, I used to eat 2 sandwiches at lunch. I don't know if my mom's still here, but we would go to this place across the street from the donut shop and get 2 of these sandwiches. They were really good. And I would eat too much. Bobby, first say, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. I'm going to quit. And that don't sound good. Just say, I'm going to not drink. Well, sometimes we need more support than that, though. I know I did. And healing is a thing that if we don't heal it, it's going to just go to another thing. If we don't heal those childhood wounds, that inner child, it will keep going. Because I'm going to talk about that too, about how Once when I quit, oh, well, I did talk about that. Once when I quit drinking, I thought I would be normal, but no, I'm still trying to fit into places. I'm still trying to heal this hole in my soul. And I'm not saying that my parents put it there. I'm just saying that I had this inner child wound and the hole in my soul. I wish I could travel back in time and space and show you the love and support you needed back then. Oh, thank you, John. Received today. I'm only going to drink 2, then tomorrow, and then I say I'm only going to drink 1, and just make it easy on yourself. All right, Bobby, thank you. All right, so the ACES test measures adverse childhood experiences such as abuse, neglect, addiction in the home, mental illness, domestic violence, incarceration, and other household dysfunctions. These experiences do not just happen in Did I lose my spot? I did lose my spot. Sorry, y'all. Okay, Mom. Okay, let me find my spot, y'all, because I got off track here. Okay, I think I've caught up with myself. Like many people, I learned early that I would be accepted if I abandoned my feelings, hid my thoughts, and did what was expected of me. I was trying to be safe. Robbie, yes, alcohol and drugs are used to self-medicate for a painkiller, not realizing the more pain we're creating. That's right, exactly. It was good at first, but after a while, it was not good anymore. Okay, I don't know what you're saying, Amrita Chapuria. Okay, Bobby, I don't know. All right, so I learned early in life that life could be violent, unpredictable, and emotionally unsafe, so I became highly anticipatory, and I strategized constantly about what would happen next. So I developed expectations, lots of expectations, as a way to feel in control. When I got into recovery, I believed I would automatically become normal and somehow would know how to do normal things I'd never learned or seen modeled. And that was a painful realization. This is also where I believe addiction transfer can happen. Just because alcohol was removed did not mean I had recovered my sense of self. My craving for alcohol left, but the emptiness, pain, insecurity, and longing for good enough remained. So the addiction transferred. For me, it became shopping. Mom, remember when I used to go hide those things out in the bushes and so I didn't get caught? And I tried to find through shopping what I had lost in myself. I chased the temporary feeling of worth, comfort, or reward, and that pattern also impacted my marriage. My husband and I eventually divorced and filed bankruptcy because part of my shopping behavior was directly related to my emotional avoidance. When I felt angry, afraid of conflict, or overwhelmed by confrontation, I would buy myself something nice for my trouble. That's what I would do. I was trying to buy relief, y'all. I was trying to buy away pain, and the steps helped. Karate helped. Learning to trust people came slowly, slowly. Healing the inner child takes time. John London, I'm still trying and learning normal, but I'm not normal and I'm okay with that or happy with being. I know, me too, John. It's about learning to be comfortable in our own skin, right? So it's learning to get comfortable in our own skin without all this stuff coming, outside stimulation, needing things outside of ourselves. So healing that inner child takes time, especially when you were never taught how to express yourself, identify your feelings, and trust your own voice. I had to learn emotional vocabulary. I had to learn to identify with what I was feeling and ask what it meant instead of automatically creating stories or reacting from fear. Thank you. Okay. Absolutely. I was addicted to alcohol and drugs. God did for me what I couldn't do for myself. That was 14 years ago. I got therapy and my life is so different today. That's awesome. Congratulations, TLXX7575. Professor Hoffman, that's not very nice, and you'll be put in timeout if you be mean in here. I'm just saying. John, my mom too I know, the struggle is real. It is real, because that's what I mean. I see transference of addiction all the time. When I'm working with people with food addiction, sometimes they switch to shopping addiction too. So thank you, Kim. It was time for them to go. So I had buried my truth for so long that it took time to uncover it. And healing didn't require me to become someone else. See, this isn't what in my coaching I teach is I'm not trying to teach anybody to become somebody else. You're welcome, TLXX7575. All right. So I don't encourage people to become someone different. Many of us already tried that to gain love, approval, or safety. So what I want to help people do is to remember their authenticity, their essence, and reconnect with the part of themselves that they abandoned in order to survive. In order to survive, sometimes we abandoned parts of ourselves. So tonight is going to be our first night. Wednesday we'll talk about this again, and then we're going to talk about it again Friday night. So it's going to come in levels and layers, because that's how I've had to learn things, is in different levels and layers. Because guess what? Things happen in different levels and layers. And so it was imprinted, ingrained, and embedded. So we have to imprint and ingrain and embed the new learning. My addiction, wait, it went up way fast. My addiction, for lack or a better word, is collecting coins and watching YouTube. Well, I'm glad you watch us here, my glove, and that you're here. All right. I don't do energy drinks. Coffee's good enough for me. I love me some coffee, though. Right, Kim? Mom knows I love some coffee, too. I take her some Mexican coffee when I go to Texas. Yes. So I don't encourage people to become someone different. Many of us already tried that to gain love and all of that. So let me find where I'm at. So tonight, for our first night, we're going to explore the ACE score, how it may have. So I'm going to reread what this ACE survey is, and it's Adult Childhood Experience Survey, questionnaire for adults. So if I may have to, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and block out those words that I said earlier, just in case, so YouTube doesn't give me a hard time, because I've heard other people say that they got to do things. So did you feel you didn't have, question number 1 is, did you feel you didn't have enough to eat, had to wear dirty clothes, or had no one to protect or take care of you? That's question number 1 on this adverse childhood exam thing. 2, did you lose a parent through divorce, abandonment, death, or another reason? 3, did you live with anyone who was depressed, mentally ill, or attempted to unlife themselves, is what I hear them say on here these days. Did you live with anyone who had a problem with drinking or using drugs, including prescription drugs? 5, did your parents or adults in your home ever hit, punch, beat, or threaten to harm each other? 6, did you ever live with anyone who went to jail or prison? 7, did a parent or adult in your home ever swear at you, insult you, or put you down? 8, did a parent or adult in your home ever hit, beat, kick, or physically hurt you in any way? 9, did you feel that no one in your family loved you, or thought you were special? And 10, did you experience unwanted abuse, that any kind of abuse, but inappropriate abuse? So we're going to get into what that means as far as that goes. Okay. Thank you, Kim. You're doing a great job. I appreciate you. Thank you for those hearts. You're multitasking, the hearts and the moderation. So thank you. So, and what happened to you, Oprah Winfrey and Bruce D. Perry explain that trauma is less about the event itself and more about what happened inside your nervous system because of the event. That's this book here. What happened to you? They state, Dr. Bruce D. Perry wrote it with her because a lot of people go to the doctor to get medicine for the symptoms of what the abuse caused them or what the problem was in these ACE, like those ACE experiences a lot. And I'm going to get into what those may cause here in a minute. So when, but why it was written was because people go to the doctor not realizing it's this inner child. Hi, Mr. Semonveer, you did get on here. Okay, I'm glad you're here. At least I got to give you a shout out. Hopefully you're not already gone. Semonveer. All right. So what happened inside of us, what's wrong with me needs to turn to what happened to me. Militant. All right. We'll keep following, Militant. Maybe this will help you. Thank you, Mr. Semonveer. Love you too. Thank you. So what I find so powerful about the ACES test is that it helps to explain not just what happened to us, but what we learned to do because of what happened, the coping skills. And that's where a lot of the addictions come in, is through the coping. In the book, What Happened to You, Oprah and Dr. Bruce D. Perry explain that trauma changes the nervous system. A child's brain adapts to survive whatever environment it's raised in. If you grew up with yelling, addiction, violence, unpredictability, emotional neglect, abandonment, criticism, or chaos, your nervous system learns that the world is unsafe. So this has a lot of people saying, I don't like people, da, 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 da. And I used to have that. That was imprinted, and we don't even know. I took a test at the church, and it told me that I thought people were not safe, in this test that I took. Thank you, TLXX 7575. You're exactly right. When I got therapy, I came to realize that I was responding to life from a little boy's point of view. Yes, yes. I've said before, like in my addiction, I started, getting into it really at 14. I had done a little bit of it, dabbled, had smoked a joint and drank a few beers before, but at 14, it became a regular type thing. And my maturity stayed at 14 because that's how I was learning to cope with things. That's how I was learning how to feel cool. That was how I was learning how to, so that's at 14. So when I got sober, clean and sober, when I did that at when I was a mom and 2 kids away from that. I'm not going to tell, we don't talk about my age up on here, but I still had that 14-year-old mentality to coping with things. I didn't know how to be responsible. It was scary. It was scary, y'all. Thank you. So your body does not say, this is temporary. Your body says, this is life, stay ready. So that's how, we will learn to anticipate and strategize. I was talking on another talk, I don't know if it was here or another place, but I was saying, even that we learn how to take these survival skills into tangible tools. I used to work as security in the school district, and I was the go-to person there. I could strategize what's going to go on here, so we adapt. If you grew up with emotional neglect, you may learn to disconnect from your feelings because no one was available to help you process them. If you grew up with criticism, humiliation, verbal abuse, which I didn't even know what verbal abuse was till I went to therapy, right? TLX X 7575. So then you may develop perfectionism. We call these defects of character in the program. Hey, Rusty Waters, it's good to see you. You know all about this too? My mother says when I was in my walker, I would fight my dad for his beer. That's I was a G from way back in my walker. So anyway, if you grew up with criticism, humiliation, or verbal abuse, you may develop perfectionism, people pleasing, overachievement to try to finally feel worthy. What, Robbie, at 14, our brain is still, I know, right? At 14, we are still processing. We are not grown yet. We think, though, I know that I thought I was grown because I had a grown up body at 14, but my mind still was out. My mind was still at, a young child. So, if you grew up around addiction, you may normalize numbing, escaping, secrecy, denial, or emotional avoidance. I won, yeah. Yeah, I heard the story about me sneaking behind the rocking chair drinking beer too. Yeah. It was really on when I was 14 though. So, but yes. And stealing Dad's beer when he was in the bathtub because he couldn't come get me. I knew that too when I was a little girl. Being stuck in those mental states somewhere in the brain. Yes, John London. Dang, darling. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining. Rusty Waters Fishing. I think I was pressured into being an underachiever and there's even an Underachievers Anonymous. These 12 steps, like I did it for, the alcoholism and the codependency, and, you do you. I don't promote, I don't tell people to do it. I don't tell people not to do it. If somebody's working with me, I might suggest it. But, yeah. All right. So if you experienced that S abuse, other abuse, physical abuse or boundary violations, you may disconnect from your body and struggle with intimacy and use substances to numb or confuse attention with love. These are not character flaws. These are adaptations, my love. I had somebody when I was either 14 or 15 tell me, "You suck." That's the day I stopped listening to the individual. That was over 20 years ago. That's good that you stopped listening to them. You didn't try to defend yourself, did you? Because I tell a story about how my dad used to tell me at 14 I was spoiled, selfish, and self-centered. And so what I did was started trying to prove that I wasn't spoiled, selfish, and self-centered. So I started giving things away, but I wasn't, and it's good to be generous. But I wasn't given with the intention of being generous. I was giving because I was trying to prove to my dad that I wasn't selfish in a subconscious way, because I wasn't saying, I'm going to give this to this person because I'm proving that I'm not selfish and self-centered. I was building a wall around myself because it was painful for him to tell me I was spoiled, selfish, and self-centered, but I would act like it didn't bother me, right? And this is how our false esteem starts building, is I would act like it didn't bother me, but it did bother me. And so I gave away, Mama would tell you, I gave away my bedroom set to some people who only had buckets to sit on in their house. And so I just would give stuff away but it wasn't with the intention. Like when I get on here, I set an intention that hopefully what I say, someone will feel a part of, and it will connect to at least one person, because each one of you is important. And so that's setting an intention. I had to break down that wall of false esteem that I built around myself. Hello, Matt Maiden and TLXX7575. I was experiencing things a child should not have been exposed to. I'm so happy that I lived through it long enough to get to this part. I have a higher power that helps me love me. Absolutely. Me too. Me too. My higher power does not verbally abuse me. Hello, my name is... Oh, well, it's good to see you, Usman. Matt, my dad has made it quite clear that he has no love for me, yet it doesn't stop me loving him. That's right. Sometimes we have to love people from a distance, though. I'm not going to keep subjecting myself to pain. I am not. Because in loving myself, that doesn't mean being that doormat. Dane, in this world, only person you prove anything to is yourself. Shouldn't need to prove yourself for nobody. I know, but sometimes we subconsciously do it. I don't do it anymore because I've gotten in my consciousness. But it took me to get in my consciousness to get out of the drugs and alcohol and all the other blocks and barriers and self-sabotaging that I did. My glove. The person is family, been silently questioning that the person knew what the individual was doing. The conclusion, not really. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of pain out there. Did you delete my mom, Kim? Okay, the people in White City that everyone called the police, the poor people. Yes, yes. All right. So children cannot leave unsafe environments. Here's the thing. Thank you, Dane. I appreciate that, Robbie. I appreciate that. Robbie says, you touched so many of us, Stacy. I'm certain of that. I see it here with the most of our gang here. Thank you, Kim. I know you're a sweetheart. You wouldn't delete my mom. I had seen her, I know you do. I had seen her comment and I lost it for a minute. And I was like, oh my gosh, did mom get deleted? So children can't leave unsafe environments, so they adapt to survive them. The problem is that what helps us survive childhood often does not help us thrive in adulthood, right? You're the Stacy gang. I love it. Thank you, my glove. Rusty Waters. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. I know Kim's doing amazing, isn't she? Thank you, TLXX7575. I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much, Tim. Thank you. You're the best, Kim. Let me write that down though, so I'll remember next time I see TLXX7575. Because my memory brain cells are still out to lunch sometimes because of your accent to it. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, John London. Thank you. So, you know, those skills we picked up in childhood don't help us thrive in adulthood. So the child who learned to numb pain may later use alcohol, drugs, food, sex, shopping, gambling, work, chaos, or toxic relationships to regulate overwhelming feelings. Namaste, Rusty. I am a Southern Belle. So, the child who learned to abandon themselves to stay loved may become codependent. We're going to breathe in a minute, Rusty. Hang in here. No, Mom, Susan's not here. The child who learned to stay small may fear visibility, success, or healthy attention. The child who never felt safe may mistake intensity for love and peace for danger. I know many in here, were involved in narcissistic relationships. Aw, thank you, Dane, darling. So this is why addiction is often not the whole problem, right? It's not the whole problem. It's, they used to say in the program, they would say, could it be the drugs? Well, it could be the drugs. And once we get rid of the drugs, it could be something else. So so addiction, is not the whole problem. Addiction is often the solution we found before we had healthier tools. It is an attempt to regulate what was dysregulated. It's an attempt to soothe what was never soothed. It's an attempt to escape what never felt bearable. For me, alcohol was part of the problem, but it was my strategy. What have I started? All the love coming for Stacy. So good. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Tim, very true. I live in Reno, Nevada. I have family from the Midwest, as you know. No, I don't know. Okay. My glove. Either this week or next week, I may add the dollar coins that have the presidents. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Rusty. I'm glad. So my real work in recovery was not just simply removing substances or behaviors. My work was learning how to feel safe in my own body, identify my emotions, regulate my nervous system, tell the truth to myself too, and reconnect. And then I can tell the truth to others, reconnect with the parts of myself that I had abandoned to survive. Stacy, my other siblings are loving. My dad makes it so clear that he has nothing but resentment for me. I've been clean from drugs for 17 years now, but my dad, aw, that's sad, Matt. I am so sorry to hear that. I hope you set boundaries with yourself when you do deal with him. I'm glad you love him, but sometimes when somebody's not, if he's not treating you nice and it hurts your feelings, I would only set a boundary for like spending an hour and then taking care of myself. Make sure that you love yourself. 2 a.m. over here, stayed up for the live. Hey, Dane. John London is over there with you too. He stayed up too. He's right there with you. So internal work is sometimes the hardest and most vital. It is, John London and Dane. It's the best journey we take. It's the best adventure. The best adventure, not just journey. It's an adventure that we take to ourselves. It's the best. And once we get used to it, it's like, oh, that's what this is. Oh, that's what this is. Because we exerted so much energy trying to navigate things that we had no control and power over. And then to be, able to be comfortable in our own skin, that's a journey. I didn't just wake up like that. So this is why healing matters, because we're not broken. We're not broken. We have unresolved childhood trauma that keeps us solving adult pain with childhood survival strategies. That's what happened. That's what happened. My working on myself with Miss Stacy has changed my outlook on my relationship. Yes, I tell people, I said, I'm working with, with couples too, because sometimes we have difficulty seeing ourselves clearly. I am so grateful for you, Miss Kim. Yes. So the ACES test helps us see where those strategies may have begun, right? And once we understand what happened to us, we can begin choosing differently. See, then we get to unlearn learned behavior, those learned strategies. But we also get to hold on to the tangible tools that those survival strategies taught us. So most of us have them. I know Kim's badass. She's got a lot of tools in her toolbox, but it hadn't always been easy. So a few evidence-based points are, John. Thank you. Thank you. Higher ACE scores are associated with increased risk of substance misuse, depression, unlife attempts, chronic disease, and relationship dysfunction. Tim says to Matt, I can understand what you're going through. My mother rejected me. I spent years trying to get her to love me. Then I got tired and I got therapy precisely in that area, and I learned to let go. Rusty, I finally fell in love when I was 48. That's great to hear, Rusty. And yes, Tim and Matt, I used to I used to try to get my dad's approval all the time. I tried to be good to get my dad's approval, and I didn't get my dad's approval. Then I tried to be bad to get my dad's approval. I still didn't get his approval. I did get his attention somewhat, but it wasn't good. It was not good attention. Thank you, Robbie. Robbie said he loves my story. He has resonated with so much of what I explained today. I might take more weight out of the confusion as a kid. Awesome. Thank you. So once I quit wanting or caring, because I used to drink and smoke weed with my dad. And once I quit doing that and I started being sober, my dad approved of me. When he died when he was 58 because of the wear and tear he had put on his body, but he approved of me before he died. He did, because I quit caring if he did. It didn't have any energy in my, my central nervous system was learning to heal. My central nervous system still learns to heal, because that's the adventure to ourself, is that these things, they don't just go away. We don't get to just do a one and done. William Barry, a wise man told me. I used to have that, William Barry. I used to have that. We had a little one of those things you can peel and stick off of your mirror, and it said you're looking at the problem. My daughter teases about, I grew up in a bathroom where it said you're looking at the problem. Because I had that. Thank you, Robbie. John. Yeah, it was. I don't listen to many people, Dane says, but this lady has valid points on facts I respect highly. Thank you, Dane, darling. Digger Nick, hello. Hello, Samrud. There we go. So people with 4 or more on those ACE if you related with 4 or more things on the ACE, has significantly higher rates of alcoholism and drug use than those with none. Trauma exposure can dysregulate the stress response system, making people more likely to seek relief through external soothing. So, substances, compulsions, numbing, overworking, and etc. Because, work addiction is a thing. Thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate that. Thank you, Dane and Robbie. Y'all are amazing. Rusty Waters. Yes. I don't know if it's bad, some rude row. It's bad for me. I can't smoke weed, but I don't know. Maybe you can. Some people are born to suffer. I don't believe that way of life. I think we were all born worthy, valuable, and divine. We forget sometimes, and sometimes it's these childhood traumas that we take on as our identity. But it's not your identity, because you were born worthy. No one's born saying I'm not good enough or I'm too much or none of this. We were born, and I love those little reels where they said, what if grown-ups made friends like kids? And showed this grown-up sitting on the curb, and this lady comes up and she says, hey, you want to see how fast I can run? And it's about returning to our childlike state, because you were born innocent, worthy, and divine. course we've made mistakes and stuff that some people may not consider so innocent, but you did the best you could with what you knew. All right, Pierre, well, we're meant to live our lives. I had to learn, because I didn't get along with my dad we had a very violent, volatile relationship when I was a child. And then when I went to therapy, like I said, we were good when, he died at 58. We had a good relationship. So when I was having to address my daddy issues, then my therapist is like, so what about your dad? And I'm like, oh, we got along great. Da, 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 da. I didn't want to disrespect my dad. And she's like, yeah, but because my communication, my fears, a lot of the communication that I had was because of the fear that I had of communicating with my dad when I was a little girl. So if something triggered me or reminded me of that, I would go back to those behaviors, sometimes passive aggressive, sometimes, just these, I would feel small again. And sometimes when we feel small, we can know that that is a clue, that is a signal that your inner child is wanting to be seen and heard. It doesn't mean that feelings are facts, but it means you need to validate that inner child's feelings and understand and have that relationship with the inner child so the inner child can grow up. Because I had to, my therapist, coach explained to me, when you look at a picture, if it doesn't have shadows in it, and that's where a lot of this stuff is hiding that we're afraid to expose. And that's what recovery allowed me to do, was to get rid of these secrets that growing up in an addiction household had, get rid of some secrets so I didn't feel guilt and shame. Because a lot of times holding these secrets in itself is what makes us feel guilt and shame and act up. Tim, it's about making better choices as we age. Yes, realizing we have choices. When we're in addiction, we don't feel like we have choices. We are not choosing. It's just calling us, right? And 18, what's my advice? Well, if you can keep from you're smoking weed. Hopefully the weed's not leading you to drinking. I can't smoke weed because if I smoke weed, then I get thirsty. If I get thirsty, I start drinking alcohol. If I start drinking alcohol, I get sleepy. If I start getting sleepy, I start putting things in my nose and down my throat. And that, things that stimulants. And then if I start doing that, then I don't stop until I pass out. And God only knows what I've done by then. So it's not, smoking weed is bad for the mind, but you only see it when you stop smoking. That's right, Dame. Your mind becomes a lot clearer and your body becomes more active, honestly. I didn't notice until last month. I know, right? Yes. Robbie and Rusty. Very cool. Yeah, Robbie's like, don't do it. It's messed up. Love without no age restrictions. Sam Roadho. Yeah, you decided to take a break. Good. Good. I'm tempted for sure to start smoking weed again. It could really go bad though. Yeah, it didn't work well for me. I'm scared. I do not want to smoke any weed. And down here in Mexico, a lot of people do the ayahuasca and all these different things. And it's like, if I ain't done it yet, I don't need to put it in my body because my body doesn't know the difference when I like something to not keep, going back. And I don't trust myself. Something is a mind altering thing. I don't trust myself. Was the only issue in my life my dad? I don't think, no, I had plenty of issues. I had a friend tell me that my family put the funk in dysfunctional. So my glove, that's a parrot. She's a lovebird, matey. Yes, it's the Grinch. The gym helped me a lot, dude. Stay away from smoking. The gym does help. Just regulate how much you take your body size. The Grinch. Hey, little bud. He's going to breathe with us. We're almost ready to breathe, y'all. The way of life. Some people have been through hell. Why can't they move on? I don't know. Pam, you're here. Y'all, if you don't follow Pam, Pam has a channel here too. And I always forget to suggest y'all. Kim's moderating tonight, so she's got you, darling. She got on here. But Pam, Manjuro Journey with Pam, y'all see her here. I encourage you to follow her too, especially, if you're trying to get better habits like the working out and like making sure that you eat healthy and things like this, okay? Because she's really good at that. And adventures, exercises, adventures, and eating healthy. So let's help her get to her 1K, y'all. Let's help her get to her 1,000. So Super Doogie, is the bird making that noise? The bird makes noise. Stacy, I'm nearly 50, and the best way to explain it, that I feel naked, almost vulnerable in a way. Thank you. I appreciate you. It's good to hear that I'm not alone. Thank you for the support in the chat. Absolutely, Matt, because that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. That's what I set my intention to in the morning. I'm like, when I get on here. Kim recognizes Pam, just Jason. Yes, my bird plucks. Robbie, Rusty. That's cool. I love how you know how it starts. Yes. Pam, I have a ninja watch working tonight, and I have a student tech next. Oh my goodness. See, Pam joins from California, and they're 3 hours behind. So where it's 8:04 for me, it's 5:04, right? Is it 5:04 for you, Pam? Abdullah. Hey, Stacy, your neighbor here. Hey, how are you doing? Rusty. Bye from this conversation, Stacy. You're leaving? All right. Anthony Capolo. Does that mean you're leaving, Rusty? All right. Robbie Mellon. John London. Life is full of temptation all the time. Discipline, brother, over bad choices. That's my thinking. Yes. My glove. Tossed around the idea of dropping acid. People recommend that I don't too. Analytically thinking, they said, yeah, I bought acid twice when I was young, but both times people did my acid and I didn't get it, and it was probably a very good thing. I think like what Tim was saying earlier, God was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. You're welcome, Pam. John London says, true, it can be a slippery slope with any drug. Yes. I just love y'all. Y'all supporting each other. Thank you, Anthony. My glove. Got a question. I'm looking to have my channel grow. Any ideas, suggestions, or advice? Yes. Y'all, my glove's trying to grow his channel. I just ask people to follow you on this channel too? I love you, Pam. So my glove, do what, because you like to collect the cards and you like to collect. You like to collect, so keep posting things. Post it. Like, I'm on here 4 times a week. So come on and post what it is that's on your mind 4 times a week. Pam posts like 4 times a week, right? How many times do you post a week, Pam? Okay, you be ninja listening. She can't really, she's got a student coming. Okay, y'all, but y'all, my glove would like to grow his channel. So if y'all have suggestions for my glove in his collection and growing his channel, Robbie. There you go. All right. So here we grow. Here we grow. All right. Trauma exposure can dysregulate the stress response system, making people more likely to seek relief through external soothing substances, compulsions, numbing, overworking, etc. This is also why I've learned to respect my addiction and compulsive patterns as serious conditions. Not simply bad habits or lack of willpower. That's not what it is. Addiction is a disease, and food addiction and other compulsive behaviors can also become powerful coping mechanisms rooted in trauma, stress, nervous system dysregulation, and emotional pain. For many of us, substances or compulsive behaviors temporarily soothe, numb, distract, or reward us when we don't yet have healthier tools. But awareness matters. Just because we understand where our patterns come from does not mean we can safely return to the same behaviors that once distorted our thinking, emotions, and choices. So just because we heal the inner child doesn't mean, like, I cannot return to drinking. I'll have 29 years clean and sober next month, but I can never go back. Hello, Sala, Hadina, Yub, my glove. You are very welcome. It's coins. Okay, you need to post at least once a week, my glove, to get comfortable starting, and then get a routine, a habit, because like I come on here on Monday night and Friday night. I come on here on Sunday morning at 9 and Wednesday morning at 9. So it's like having a routine. Thank you, J Money. All right. So as an addict, I know I cannot drink again. That is not deprivation for me. It's awareness. It is understanding what alcohol does in my life and where it leads me. Well, thank you, LB. So the same, the same awareness applies to other compulsive behaviors, whether it is food, shopping, chaos, overworking, or other escapes. We have to learn the difference between true need and emotional coping. We have to become aware of what we're putting into our bodies, our minds, our lives, and ask ourselves whether we're nourishing ourselves or trying to fill an emotional void. Recovery is not about punishment. It's not. It's about remembering our worth, growing in emotional maturity, no longer returning to the patterns that disconnect us from ourselves and our source too, right? Our higher power. Freedom is not just abstinence. Freedom is awareness, honesty, and choosing not to return to the behaviors that once felt like survival, but ultimately kept us stuck in self-sabotage. John London, 29 is as long as I've lived. That's so amazing. Well, thank you, John London. It is amazing. Thank you, Salah Habinayeb. Yeah, Salah Hadinayeb. There we go. Recovery is not punishment. It is not. Thank you, Robbie. Yes, it is nice to have all the positivity in here, isn't it? So, again, just to go over it, how ACEs can show up later in life and the feeling unseen, unheard, emotional, and unsupported. My feelings don't matter. I had to handle things alone. That's the adult patterns, emotional shutdown, difficulty identifying feelings, self-isolation, avoidance of vulnerability, and over-independence. All right. Hey, 5 Elements Infinity. I'll work on posting reason enough. Yes, we want to see what you got, my love. Good to see you too, Terry Scott. Why, thank you. All right. So emotional shutdown is, in the adult patterns. Okay. So the possible escapes and addictions could be alcohol, food, binge watching, work, addiction, emotional numbing, and disassociation. The ACE with the verbal abuse, the criticism and shaming, how that turns out. It was good. Thank you. What the child learns with verbal abuse, criticism, and shaming is something's wrong with me. I'm not enough. And the adult patterns are perfectionism, people pleasing, fear of mistakes, chronic self criticism, and imposter syndrome. And the possible escapes and addiction would be shopping, overworking, achievement addiction, eating disorders, substances, approval seeking, and relationships. Physical abuse and violence, how this will turn in, transform. So far, only one person in the world of YouTube has seen me. She made me a mod on her channel. I think that I subscribed to your channel. I think I did. I'll make sure that I do. So what the child learns with physical abuse and violence is that the world is dangerous. Stay alert. Adult patterns are hypervigilance, anxiety, control issues, anger, fear, conflict, or attraction to conflict. That feels normal. Possible escape and addictions could be alcohol, drugs, adrenaline seeking, chaotic relationships, rage behaviors, and gambling. The ACE experience of abuse and boundary violations is the child learns my body is not safe, my boundaries don't matter. Adult patterns is difficulty with trust, intimacy, struggles, shame, body disconnection, confusion around love and attention. Oh, you're very welcome, John. Are y'all ready to breathe? That is a lot. That is a lot to take in. Is everybody ready to breathe? Because that's almost done. It's almost done. You are very welcome, my glove. Let's do some breathing, y'all. We've been here for quite a while now, okay? It's been over an hour. Y'all ready? Let's breathe. So just for tonight, I want y'all to take away what happened to me that made this strategy feel necessary if you're strategizing with all of that. Addiction is often not the root problem. The root problem is something else. Addiction is the outside symptom, the self-medication. We can't go back to that, but it's frequently an adaptation, a coping mechanism, an escape route for unresolved pain. Time does go fast. Let's do some breathing, y'all. Let's do some breathing. You ready? Y'all ready for this? Grinch, you gonna breathe with us or you gonna hide out? Grinch, come on, we're breathing. You know what will bring Grinch out? Here comes Grinch. Grinch hates when I do this. See? I know how to get the Grinch out the house. All right, so here we grow. You ready to breathe with us? I know every time the tapping, Grinch comes out. Pammy, you're going to get to breathe with us. Yay! All right, here we grow, y'all. Here we grow. My glove, time flies when the host is. Oh, thank you, Ketan Patel. Good morning, Ketan. How are you? I'm going to be back on here Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. and we'll go over some more of this stuff. And if you miss it, then you can watch it Wednesday night, okay? Okay. Let's breathe, darling. We're going to breathe. Get ready. Get ready, Grinch. Here we grow. Remember, we're going to breathe in all the way in our tummy. Shoulders up, chest apart, heart open. And then just hold it for 4 counts if you can. Just do your best and then let go out of your mouth gently and slowly. We'll only do 5 times. But here we grow. So breathing in, healing air. So let's take a deep breath in. Hold it. And release. Breathe in. Hold it. And release. Breathe. Hold it. Release. Just 2 more. Breathe in. Hold it. Release. Last one. Breathe. Hold it. And release. Again, I want to thank all of you who have subscribed to me, but if you will, please subscribe to Monjuro Journey with Pam and to Maglav 527. And so I had an amazing time tonight, and I thank you all so much for being here and for all of your participation and input. It's always very helpful. I appreciate you so very much. Thank you, Kim, for moderating. And if you want people to follow you, then let me know. There is a parrot on me. That's my Grinch. I'm going into a meditation now, and I hope you all will have an amazing night. And I look forward to seeing you Wednesday, okay? All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you too, Maglove. Thanks, John London and Robbie, Kim, Pam, Mom, everyone who's still here, everyone who stayed. I think Rusty Waters left. And but everyone that participated this evening, I thank you so much. Have a good night. Bye.